What's up, everybody, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Hot Mic here on the Outlaw Nation channel. I am the Outlaw. God damn it. I am joined, as always, every weekend, twice weekly now, lately on the Hot Mic by the Sneider himself, dropping scoops and breaking news. Jeff Sneider, how are you, Jeff?
It is I, Johnny boy. It is I. What a week it was. Hell of a weekend.
Yeah, not many men can pull off pink, man, but you do it well. Is that pink or purple?
It's purple.
It looks good on you. It looks good on you, buddy.
Thanks, bud.
It's a nice summer color. How was your weekend? Watch some football, watch the Cowboys go down, watch Belichick leave the Patriots, watch the Eagles go down. It's been a hell of a weekend for sure.
There was a lot of football.
Yes.
I also watched a couple of movies.
Ooh.
It's still January, so nothing great. That Kevin Hart movie, Lift, did you see that?
Yeah. No, I did not see that. Although it got huge numbers on Netflix. I did not see it. What's your thoughts on that?
We're going to watch. Like, that's the thing. Even though we know it's crap, it's like, it's Kevin Hart. It'll be like harmless for 95 minutes or whatever. And it will. Not good. Played some ball. Matty Nosh wasn't out there this week.
Oh.
Yeah.
Maybe he's on a tour. Maybe he's on a tour.
We'd love to see you out there one day, Johnny.
Please.
If I had to for seeing you behind the desk, so be it.
It's true. It's true. Maybe I'm probably a year out from being able to play ball with you guys, for God's sakes. A year out of getting back into shape.
I'll mark it on my fucking calendar.
Well, welcome everybody to the show. You know how the show works, man. We got ourselves some fun topics to discuss here and go a little crazy on it. Of course, we want to answer your Streamlabs and Superchats. Start sending them in as we go along. This is the early week show. And the thing that Jeff and I kind of landed on with the early week show, although last week was a little bit of an anomaly, is that we like to keep this show to be a segmented show. We like to have segments on the show. If stuff breaks, then we'll talk about it because it's a timely thing. But we really want to keep this show to be segments. And one of those segments we're talking about today are top 10 Sundance films to ever premiere at Sundance. Because it's on the horizon here, and Sundance put out their own top 10, collated, I guess you would say, from a number of people who submitted their top 10s, and Jeff suggests is a great idea, because that's going to be one of our segments. We're also going to talk about our review for Night Country, the new True Detective series that's out. We're going to talk a little bit of the news that Jeff broke, little scoops that he broke there about Daredevil and other things, and we're also going to get into some more the Emmys as well as we go along here today. And if anything breaks while we're on the show, we'll talk about it as well. And one of those things I think just came across here, Jeff. I don't know if you saw that, but what's his name here? Austin Abrams has turned down the role of Sentry. So are you going to play Sentry next? I mean, who is up for Sentry? They just make him female. Just make a Sentry female and move on from there. What are your thoughts here, Jeff?
No comment.
There you go. No comment on it.
I mean, did Austin Abrams really pass, or could it maybe have been misreported and trying to be like, it's not going to be him after all? He passed. Trust me. I mean, I don't see how Austin Abrams passes on that role if he was in fact offered it.
Right.
I don't think it'll be much longer before we hear.
Okay, we'll see. But as I said, the Streamlabs Super Chats are open. Send in your stuff as we go along here. Jeff, do you just want to jump right in with both feet into the Emmys here? You want to talk about the Emmys, the most recent award show? Your thoughts on all of this?
You're the dealer, baby. It's dealer's choice
all
tonight.
Right.
So if you want to talk about Emmys, we can.
Let's start off the show with the Emmys. I know, Jeff, you're not a big fan of award shows, but we had the Critics' Choice Awards and we had the Emmys. But the Emmys being exclusively television, I thought that was maybe the better topic for us, as Critics' Choice, just another award show that's good, but it is just another award show. So your thoughts on the Emmys here, Succession and The Bear cleaning up here. A lot of people starting to take little passive-aggressive shots at The Bear, saying, how is that a comedy? Some people saying that Succession is more of a comedy than The Bear, but both those shows ended up cleaning up. Better Call Saul didn't win anything, which I think they were 0-43 or something like that, some ignominious mark that they've made at the Emmys. but some nice victories for Niecy Nash, for Quinta Brunson, and quite a number of people winning, like Kieran Culkin, Stephen Yeun, Ali Wong. So some good, interesting combination of winners here. What were your thoughts overall on the Emmys?
I didn't watch a single second of the Emmys.
Okay.
So I cannot speak to the award show itself. My dad watched it. He said he had a nice time. He enjoyed it. Anthony Anderson did a good job.
That seems to be the overall opinion. Yeah, that was a really good show. Yeah.
Really good show. Apparently, only 4 million people watched it.
Yes, it's down 27% from last year, the ratings.
The lowest ever. It is the lowest ratings ever in the history of the Emmys, I believe.
Yeah.
But somehow, the publicist came up with this. It's the best watched Emmys on a Monday for non-scripted entertainment. I mean, it was like a ridiculous headline on this Fox or press release or whatever channel. Listen, I love the Oscars.
Yeah.
I love the Oscars. And it's because I believe that the Oscars mean something.
Yes.
I have to believe it.
I know you do. I know you do.
I don't think that the Emmys really matter at all, really.
Really? What?
No.
I mean, because they're essentially the Oscars of the TV awards. So why wouldn't you think they matter?
Because, with Emmys, even these days, it's like things are still divided into 3 categories, right?
True.
Dramas and comedies and limited series or TV movie.
Yeah. Even
in comedy, and I'm going to be writing something. I spoke to LA Magazine today. They want me to write about this for LA Mag. So
nice.
Some opinions, but you've got shows like The Bear competing with Abbott Elementary, right?
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Abbott Elementary is a sitcom, and The Bear is like a dramedy. And so it's like, should these shows be competing against each other, or should there be a separate category for dramedies? I just like it. I hate that voters just watch the same 5 shows. Everybody just watches the same shows. I watch a ton of television, yet I'm accused of not watching any TV ever because I don't watch the shows that everybody else watches. Okay, it's like that's just not that's not the case. But we've fallen into this homogenous viewership where only 5 shows get talked about every season, and it's
this kind of groupthink is what you're essentially saying. Yeah,
which is prevalent all throughout all corners of the culture.
Very true. Very true. Yeah, you make a good point, because here's who The Bear was up against: Abbott Elementary, straight comedy; Barry, you could argue that's a dramedy at this point; Jury Duty, definitely straight comedy; Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, maybe walks that line; Only Murders in the Building, total comedy; Ted Lasso, total comedy; Wednesday, a dark comedy for sure. So you could argue that if you opened the door up to dramedies, you could create a new category, and that would allow more shows to be in contention for these awards. But at that point, man, you might have to start cutting who wins what and how they do that. Do you combine the actor stuff, or do you separate that out as well? So it's a good question to ask, and you wonder at the end what the decision is going to be, because they won for the first season of The Bear, which means The Bear's second season is now going to be up for the awards next year.
Who even knows what they're voting for? How many people just voted for The Bear just because that's the show? They didn't even think, it's about this batch of episodes versus this batch of episodes. Again, the voting happened in August.
Right.
Voting happened 5 months ago or whatever. Right. So everything just feels stale. I wasn't into it this year. Maybe that's why. Maybe it's because the calendar sort of threw me off. And it's like, no. Right now I'm caring about Oscar nominations and Sundance and stuff like that. I'm not in Emmy mode, so it doesn't matter when the show is. I'm not there.
It's a good point. You focused on celebrating the movies of last year, then moving on already with television, as we've already started. Television is all coming back now in the next week or so. All the shows are coming back that were on hiatus there to do it. But look, Trevor Noah won, which was great. He got up there and accepted. RuPaul's Drag Race won last week with tonight with John Oliver won. Jeremy Allen White. You love Jeremy Allen White. He won for The Bear. Kieran Culkin winning. Sarah Snook winning for the first time. And Stephen Yeun and Ali Wong. And then Nevin Moss Bacharach. Ayo Edebiri, who apparently is, just launching into success here. And as you tweeted, our fellow Schmodown brethren, Paul Walter Hauser, a bit of a surprise winning for Blackbird. I thought other people might get the nod over him. And as I said, Niecy Nash bets for drama, or Dahmer, who a lot of people liked.
I was like a Blackbird and Dahmer guy. God, these shows I watched so long ago, it's crazy to me that we're even talking about it for awards right now. I don't watch Succession. I watched the first episode or two of Succession, and I was like, I don't care about these rich white families, people's problems. I just don't care. The Bear, I watched like 4 or 5 episodes, and I liked it, but like I just I tailed off, and I never went back to finish. So I would like to finish that. You know, if time was infinite, I would, but it was never a priority.
Right.
All these fucking shows. I mean, I like trash TV, I guess. I don't know.
What would you give this is a fun exercise, kind of put you on the spot. What would you give the best comedy and the best drama Emmy to of the shows that you've watched? Just kind of give us a window into the Jeff Sneider viewing habits. Do any leap to mind for you in terms of comedies or dramas?
And so this is of 2023?
Yes, 2023.
Yeah. Oh man, I don't know. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I don't even know. I don't even know what that list is at this point. Give me a
Well, we'll talk about one show that may be up for awards next time around with the Emmys with True Detective season 4 in a little bit. So look out for our review in a little bit later on in the show. So, but overall, a good show. A lot of there were some people complaining that Ryan O'Neal was left off the in memoriam, but I think he's more of a film actor than a TV actor. So even though he did appear on some television shows, there was some complaint about that. But overall, very positive response to the show. But unfortunately, as we said, down 20-something% from last year in terms of the ratings. Which, Jeff, are we getting to that point? I mean, I've talked about this all the way back to Collider Mailbag. Are we getting to the point now where these award shows are all just going to go to streaming, and this is just the last gasps of these things on regular television? Do you think we're just all going to, because SAG Awards is now on what, Netflix? And so, like, do we think this is all going that direction?
It would make sense because that's where the audience is. And yet the people who watch award shows, right, who tend to at least are older folks, right?
Oh, good point. Yeah.
Who are still invested in the awards and stuff. So,
yeah.
I'm not entirely sure. I mean, we'll see what the numbers are like. Which one's airing on Netflix? Is it SAG?
SAG, yeah.
Yeah, we'll see what the numbers are sort of like there. I mean, okay, so you asked like what I would give awards to.
Okay,
right?
you got something? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So like, I mean, I love like I don't know what is this year versus last. I don't even know what the eligibility one is. So Fargo is not eligible, right? That'll be
not
next
for this current cycle. No.
Poker Face was eligible.
It was, yes.
I loved Poker Face. Yeah. And so here's a little thing on Poker Face. It's like, and this is just what I've heard. This is just a rumor.
Okay.
Poker Face was renewed like within a month of its launch on Peacock, right?
Peacock, yes.
We haven't heard much about Poker Face season 2.
Yeah.
I feel like.
What's that all about?
I've heard that Ryan Johnson's producing partner, Rom, sort of sat him down, Ron Bergman, sat him down, was like, listen, you know, you're doing these Knives Out movies, like you're in the prime of your career or whatever, like, do you really want to spend, 2 years of your life doing season 2 of a Peacock series?
Wow.
And I heard Ryan was like, you may have a point there. So like maybe Poker Face season 2 is happening. Because someone else was like, oh, I hear that they're trying to get directors now.
Yeah.
But like, if that's the case, I don't know that Ryan will be as present on the set as a producer or will have written, as many episodes as he did last season.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, like you said, I mean, it's time consuming to write 10 episodes of television, to be on set for 10 episodes of television.
New characters too, right?
New stories, new characters. Yeah, great point. New overall thread, as we saw in the first season, had that overarching thread with Ron Perlman and Benjamin Bratt. So investing in all that's a lot of time. And so I think it was a great first season. Ryan showing you what he can do on the TV format. Great. Now let's go back and keep doing the movies. Hand it off to someone you trust. Maybe you're like an advisor, and that's a smarter move. I mean, Natasha seems to have really grown in her power and her knowledge and whatever. Natasha may be someone who wants to showrun it or bring someone she knows to be a showrunner, right?
People like that show, though, and they like her. So I do hope that it comes back. I just don't know. Right. Yeah, if Ryan Johnson was he the showrunner season 1? I'm not even.
Yeah.
Anyways, that is a show that I would have given awards to. I love Shrinking. Was Shrinking eligible for Emmys?
Shrinking was, yes. Shrinking was eligible. Jason Segel lost. Yeah.
So it's like, these are the kinds of shows. Ted Lasso I really liked. I didn't think Barry had a good season.
was an uneven season for sure. As soon as they made the jump, they fucking lost me. They fucking lost me, man. As soon as they made that
Monster, I liked, and Blackwood.
Slow Horses is something that gets no fucking attention, and that is one of the most well-written, well-acted, well-directed, well-shot shows ever made. I would put that in the same conversation with The Bear and Succession, and it frustrates the piss out of me that Slow Horses gets none of the recognition that it really deserves to get. And I don't want what it is about these Apple TV Plus series, other than Ted Lasso.
Right. They just don't. There's no marketing budget going into them. Nobody's watching these shows.
Yeah,
I've heard Slow Horses is terrific. Everyone who watches that show tells me it's great. But
it's one of the best things ever, man. Yeah, and even Monarch this season is incredible. But
my brother loves it.
Yeah. So, all right. So let's see here. Let's take. Oh yeah, Reservation Dogs. That's another one. Nobody seems to talk about that as strongly as they should when it comes to award season. So it's frustrating to deal with that as well. All right, that's our Emmys talk. If you have any questions about that as we go along, send in your Streamlabs and Super Chats. Remember to subscribe to the channel and also subscribe to Jeff's newsletter. Jeff, what is it? What's the address there for people to go?
In www.theinsnider.com, and there's going to be some bombshells on there this week. There's going to be some good stuff coming up in this newsletter, folks.
Okay, yeah. Speaking of bombshells, let's move to one of the ones you dropped here, and that is for Daredevil. You're saying that Eldon Henson and Deborah Ann Woll, fan favorites from the original Daredevil series on Netflix, they will be returning as Foggy Nelson and Karen Page. That's what you're hearing, right? There's no official confirmation, but that's certainly what you're hearing. I retweeted your tweet and said it made all the sense in the world the second they went back and redid Daredevil Born Again to bring these two back in. How certain are you that this is happening? What was the buildup to all of this, and what's been the reaction? What can you say about this, Jeff?
I didn't tell you that one beforehand, did I?
No, you didn't. But when you tweeted it, I was like, makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah, I had that one up the sleeve.
That's all right.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like Marvel listened to the fans and sort of wants to give them and these characters some closure. I don't know how much they're going to be in this new season.
Yeah.
It may just be for that first episode. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I don't know if something happens to them or what. Right, but I still think it was important for them to come back, to exist in this world, and for characters, for the fans, and the audience to get a chance to say goodbye. If it is in fact goodbye, again, I don't know.
Right.
But yeah, they are going to be back, and it was newsworthy because we were told that they weren't coming back.
Yes, specifically that they weren't coming back.
So it was a 180, and I think that it's because, from what I understand, that that guy is it Dario Scartapone, or I don't have the name in front of me. He's the one who came in, who got the last we'd heard about this, I think it was either in October or November. The Hollywood Reporter did a big story on Daredevil and how they're like ripping everything up and kind of reshaping everything. And so what I was told was that they were left with 6 episodes. Six episodes worth of material.
Okay.
But they've got an 18 episode order. So it was like, okay, let's do 3 episodes. And so they had to write a new one so that everything kind of made sense to to make sense of the other 6. And then they tacked on 2 episodes at the end. Right. So that's 9. And those 9 will debut as the first half of Daredevil Born Again.
Interesting.
And then there'll be, however long it takes to shoot the second season, maybe a year-long break. And then season 2, which they're not going to call season 2 because of contractual things, right? Right. So it's just one big 18 episode season, again, with a break in the middle.
But there's going to be a break in the middle, which
I don't think you'd want to wait until you had all 18 episodes in the can. Yeah. I think you do 9, you release that first 9, and while you're making the other 9.
It's always dangerous though. You release those 9, and what if the 9 don't get a great reaction? What if the 9 don't? Are you then rejiggering the scripts? Are you changing storylines? Are you adjusting characters?
Wouldn't it be worse to just throw out 18 and like halfway through, no one's into it? We made another 9. Sorry. I mean,
I guess that's a good point for sure. Yeah. But let me ask you this, because we've got Vincent D'Onofrio coming out and saying how he is happy that they took the break and are going to relook at this and reapproach it. And that's going to have the tone of those Netflix Marvel series. Echo had some of that, certainly not all the way. And then they made all these Netflix Marvel shows can end by putting them in the official timeline on Disney Plus. And then you have John Bernthal talking about how he isn't going to come back to do Punisher unless they write scripts that really honor the character. So there seems to be a lot of pressure here, Jeff. And I want to ask you about this because Disney Dark is not Netflix Dark. So I wonder if people are being set up here for a bit of a disappointment that it's not going to be as dark as it was Netflix, as the Netflix stuff is. When they say TVMA, we saw the TVMA of Echo, and there was barely any blood. There was some violence and some deaths, but it wasn't anywhere near what we saw in The Punisher or Daredevil or Luke Cage or Jessica Jones. So do you think that this is a dangerous situation to bring in more content that you have the responsibility to honor as you're starting to chart a new path under a different umbrella? What do you think about this?
I mean, I think that, like, was Echo ever, like, was it always envisioned as a TVMA? Like, wasn't it originally envisioned as an 8-episode Disney Plus series?
Yes, that's what I thought it was. Yes,
originally. And they kind of, like, you know, saw what they had and it wasn't going well, and they ripped it up and they said, we're going to do 5 episodes and they're all going to debut at once and they're going to debut on Disney Plus and Hulu. So, like, is that sort of like was it a test run almost to see how these Marvel shows perform on Hulu, and whether that audience, you know, would watch a show, you know, whether the audience will follow them onto another streaming platform or whatever. I just I think if you can make Daredevil as violent as you want, but you do stick it on Hulu.
Okay. So you don't think Disney Plus? You think it'll go? You think it should go to Hulu?
Go on Disney Plus because by then, you know, I'm sure they could have like a restricted part of it.
Yeah.
But it's all going to be integrated into one app anyway. So Disney Plus and Hulu are going to be on the same app, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's sort of like what it's all getting at. Like, I don't think you're going to see a neutered Daredevil. Okay. I think it's going to be just like the last one for the most part. And the excuse is that this isn't just a Disney Plus series because it's living on the Disney Plus / Hulu app. And so, you know.
Well, this is my concern, and not because, you know, I'm coming from a place of like those Netflix shows are you know, the scripture. You know, it's more a matter of Disney's already been taking so many hits over the last few years with their content. Now, by making these shows officially part of the official timeline of the MCU, you're taking on the responsibility of everything that happened in those shows and the tone of those shows, and that's my concern, because then now you're raising the expectation of the fans who love those Netflix shows. And there's a lot of people who think those are scripture to them, and possibly setting yourself up to get criticized, ridiculed, and bashed even more because you're not matching the tone, because you're only making it somewhat dark or dark that's palatable for most of the family, and kind of, I don't want to say neutering, but certainly minimizing the darkness that we'd seen in the Netflix.
Here's the thing. I don't think that people watch shows for tone.
What?
People don't watch shows for tone. I'm not watching Daredevil because it's dark. I watch the show because the story's good, and if the story's dark, I'll go with it wherever.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, fair.
As long as the story's good, whether it goes into a dark territory or a light territory, if the story's good, it's good, and then you'll follow it. So that's what I'm getting at, is like, I don't think that they need to concern themselves too much about the tone. Tell a good story, and it won't matter if there's less blood and it's a little less violent. We won't care because we're so invested in the characters.
I guess inherent in my point is that at its foundation, it would have to be a good show. And then will it be dark, or will it be the dark that they want? Will it not be? Because a lot of people were mad about their Daredevil appearance in She-Hulk and felt that it was a neuter Daredevil. It wasn't the Daredevil from the Netflix series. So that's my concern when we go down this road. The foundation for me when I make these comments is that it's a good show, but is the darkness going to work? Because that's the next step of appreciating the show for some people. So just throwing it out there.
Hulu Echo seemed intense. I watched like 3 episodes last night while finishing some work. And nice. So, you know, I wasn't 100% focused on it, but it seemed like it was not hardcore, but like definitely more intense than the others.
I agree. Certainly more intense than we've seen before. And the last 2 episodes, certainly the 4th episode, has some pretty brutal stuff going and the 5th episode gets pretty out there. So yeah, for sure. All right, so yeah, and then do you believe Tatiana Maslany saying that She-Hulk is no second season for She-Hulk, that they wasted the budget? Do you think that's true?
I haven't heard anything about a season 2 of She-Hulk, so it wouldn't shock me.
I would be surprised. Hannah says, hello. Today had a lot of rumors about the Ray film. I saw you commented, see you December 2026. Do you think that's when we could see the Ray film? And is Stephen Knight still the writer? Thank you. Yeah, Jeff, I've seen this on social media. People are commenting that the Ray movie has been indefinitely delayed. I had a friend, one of my sources, text or DM me saying that the Mangold movie is indefinitely delayed. What are you hearing? Can you say anything? What do you think about these comments that are popping up on social media?
I will say
yes
that my brother's mad that I didn't condemn Echo.
Did he text you?
My brother's furious that I've been hyping up Echo a little bit, and he watched the whole thing and he thought it was a horrible waste of time.
It was not a horrible waste of time. Oh my God. You Boston guys, Jesus, relax a little bit.
We're a tough crowd this night.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
Here's what I will say about Star Wars.
Okay, go ahead.
I don't know if it'll be so it's done. The piece is done.
The piece is done?
I already wrote it. I wrote a piece about Star Wars.
Oh, okay.
Basically, and everything I know about Star Wars piece.
Okay.
You might get it tonight. You might get it tomorrow, and if not, I would say Thursday at the latest. But I it's time to weigh in on Star Wars.
Okay. All right. So you're saying you're going to wait to weigh in on it until read the piece is basically what you're saying.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, is Stephen Knight still the writer? As far as I know,
yeah.
I think it's like, can we, let's wait for this guy let's give him some time.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't. And then December 26th, I did comment that's an eagle eye of yours, Hannah. Yeah, I think I will maybe get into the schedule a little bit more in that piece.
Okay. All right. Interesting stuff. Charles Kim saying, Jeff is so correct about tone. Think about the X-Files. Some of the most beloved episodes were funny. That's for sure. Yeah, 100%. But some of the most beloved episodes were also dark as fuck. So it's the balance, isn't it? And that's what you want to find in a situation like that. Let's see. Jay Blank says, what does this new Fast and Furious report mean for the standalone Hobbs movie, since it's supposed to be a bridge between Fast X and the final movie? Yeah, Jeff, the new report says saying they're going to a smaller budget that's $200 million, a smaller budget, smaller locations. You were tweeting out, I don't know where you've heard this, that the character of Dante is divisive. I don't know. Maybe you're talking to Vin Diesel only. But like, this is a shocking situation to hear that they're going to bring another overarching villain here, possibly, to be a part of this.
I don't even know there's a standalone Hobbs movie.
Yes.
Standalone Hobbs movie.
There was a post-credit scene in the last Fast and Furious film that was The Rock saying, and he said he answered some kind of phone, and he's like, I got to go back to work. So basically implying that there'll be a standalone.
I think that's a standalone movie.
Yeah. He's not working with Vin again. Are you fucking crazy? No way.
Because I don't know. I don't know about that. I don't know if you need a Hobbs standalone movie.
Yeah, this is like the last days of the Roman Empire.
Well, supporting character. Okay, like this is like,
yeah.
I think it's time to wrap up Vin Diesel's Fast and Furious stint. I mean, this is going to be Fast 11.
He's almost 60, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, like it's time to take the keys away. So, but it's not a cliffhanger. So, and I'm not, people are like, oh, Snyder says Momoa is out. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying Momoa is out, but like, could Momoa be dealt with in the first 20 or 30 minutes of Fast 11? Yeah, I think so,
Yeah.
And then, there could be a much bigger villain revealed, for the rest of the movie. Yeah. I still think that Arnold would be amazing.
No, that's the Expendables route. At that point, then it becomes
Arnold is the king of the action franchises. This is arguably the biggest action franchise, shy of the MCU or whatever. I think this would be interesting for it to all lead to like somebody big like that, like one of the granddaddies.
Look, I don't disagree with you that I watch Arnold in anything, but Arnold is for the Expendables universe. The Fast and the Furious universe is a little bit of a different universe in terms of the, I don't know, the quality of actors that they get. So it just would be, and I don't mean the main actors. I mean, you're bringing in Charlize Theron.
What do you mean? Wait, what do you mean by the quality of actors? You mean Oscar winners like Charlize Theron,
like Charlize Theron
coming in to do their absolute garbage best? Like what?
I don't know. It just because I mean, like Expendables is for the older crowd. That is like it's for your dad. It's for your granddad. Expendables. Whereas Fast and the Furious has always marketed itself as a young.
You're right. Kylie Jenner should be the villain of Fast and
She's a cooler. Why not? I don't know. Maybe but I'm just saying they've always marketed themselves as a younger property, a younger franchise, a hipper. Dealing with cars. That's kind of the young man's game, and so young person's game, I should say, because there are plenty of women who are in the cars.
Yeah, but you know what? You know what's an old man's game?
What's that?
Being the boss.
That's true. That's true.
Okay, there's usually an old white guy behind everything, and in the world of Fast and Furious, I can see an old white guy being behind old whatever.
Make it Jeremy Irons. He seems to be making a cottage career out of that. Liam Neeson would be interesting. Liam fits. Doesn't Liam fit? If you're going to go with an old white guy, Liam Neeson or Jeff Bridges as the villain of your... That works more than Arnold, I think.
Just say it, dude. You got something against Arnold. I mean, Arnold.
No, I love Arnie.
He's gonna beat Jeff Bridges' ass. That's what he's gonna do.
I don't know. At this age, I don't know. Galliot says, when will we hear more about Peacemaker? I don't know. We just heard season 2 is on tap, but I don't think they've said much of anything.
Yeah, you're going to have to make peace with not hearing that much about Peacemaker.
For quite some time. Yeah, exactly. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We're half an hour into the show. What's up?
Break time.
Yep, break time. We're going to half an hour into the show. We're going to take a quick break. And I do this for the podcast and also let us rest our throats for a few seconds. While we're doing that, please remember to subscribe to the channel down below. Hit that subscribe button, hit that bell button. Subscribe to Jeff's newsletter right now. Go open a new window, go to theinsnider.com, subscribe to it. And Jeff, someone was saying I may have to subscribe for a month to get this article. You're starting to sell your articles by with a certain dollar amount. Is that correct, Jeff?
Yes. So it's like, okay, if you don't want to spend $100, you don't want to subscribe, you don't care about getting the Insider email every night. You don't want to do it, even for a month. But you want to read one story.
Yeah.
I want to try to sell individual scoops for like $1. Okay. On buymeacoffee.com. And that way it's like, if you don't care about movie news, but you care about one person I'm writing about or one franchise that I'm writing about that day, then you can pay to read it rather than get like an aggregated version, which I'm telling you, the aggregators out there, I don't know if they're becoming AI, if they're just getting stupider, but it's really amazing like how wrong something can become.
Yeah, yeah.
Did you see that article Matt Singer wrote about his book, his Siskel and Ebert book?
I know, but my friend, my friend from the Cinephile, Steve, he gifted me the book, so I can't wait to read it.
When you're done, I would love to read it. If you let me borrow it, but
yeah, sure.
It was like, because it's on Amazon. Amazon has like these AI bots basically that just rip off books, and they say this is an analysis of the book, right? And Singer like bought his his own analysis book, and it was like barely English. It was like there's like no syntax, like what the fuck? And that's how I feel about aggregators sometimes. Where it's just like, what are these people writing?
They're just doing it really quickly and then tossing it out there. Yeah, basically. Anyway, all right, let's take a quick break, Jeff. We'll be right back with some more topics here right after this. All right, Jeff, let's get into things here with let's talk your Jordan. Speaking of your newsletter, let's talk about your Jordan Peele scoop here. You reported last week that they were looking for a young director here, and they had signed a director to be the director for this GOAT, and that it would be focused on a sports situation with an older quarterback or older athlete, rather, a younger athlete coming in to essentially replace the older athlete. And it seems like Marlon Wayans has been set to star as the older Athlete in this with Justin Tipping on board to direct. Justin Tipping having directed numerous episodes of Black Monday, The Shy, Flatbush, Misdemeanors, Joe versus Carol, and Dear White People. So what do you hear about this? What are you feeling about this? Anything more to report on this?
No, I mean, I think it sounds awesome.
Okay.
Like, I mean, I've heard the script is just okay or whatever. And I have heard about, the direction that the script goes in, which is kind of what I thought it would be. But I think this casting is inspired. And apparently the first person it was originally supposed to be, as a little scoop for Hot Mic listeners. Okay. It was originally supposed to be Sterling K. Brown.
Oh, nice choice.
But I think the strikes and scheduling kind of messed all that up. Interesting, though, that Monkey Paw's even, just looking Sterling's way. Again, I think he's brilliant in American Fiction. I hope he gets an Oscar nomination this month. Yeah. But so Sterling, it's not him. It goes to Marlon Wayans. Marlon Wayans, this guy had been delisted from the Hollywood Stock Exchange because he had not starred in a movie in years.
Yep.
He does a small part in Ben Affleck's Air this year.
He's really good.
And yeah, he was fine. Yeah, he was good. But like, I can totally see him as like a quarterback, like a 50-year-old quarterback, like Brady style, who just takes great care of his body, and he does, right? I mean, Marlon Wayans looks great, and yeah, he's going to take a young guy under his wing. I don't know whether that guy's going to be a black guy or a white guy. I'm kind of interested because there could be an interesting racial component to that. But I think it's really, really cool. And I love Justin Tipping. I love that hiring because I think Justin Tipping, I loved Kicks. That was an indie he did in like 2016 or something.
Right.
Very, very few people saw it. I thought I was like, this guy could be the next Ryan Coogler. And he really hasn't made a movie since then. He's worked in television largely. So I love that Peele is throwing him a bone.
Yeah. A monkey bone, so to speak. Yeah. I hear you. I like Marlon Wayans when he does drama stuff, steps out of doing the stuff with the Wayans family. I like seeing his work. Like I liked him in the Aretha film, Respect. Although I don't think the film overall was great. I thought his performance as this kind of domineering partner for Aretha Franklin, the character of Ted White, I thought he did a chilling, unsettling job as that character and showed even more tools from his toolbox of drama that he can do here. And of course, he's done a number of things in the past where he's really shown you what he can do as an actor amidst stuff like White Chicks and Ladies Man and all that kind of stuff and Scary Movie. He's also dropped some really strong performances like in Requiem for a Dream. So I think that's a good idea. And I like the idea of him being the older guy. I'm shocked they didn't go get Jamie to kind of play on any given Sunday, but I think it makes sense to bring Marlon in to have some fun with it. He'll bring some nice layers to a character like that. And certainly him being an older comedian, an older actor, having a younger actor coming in to kind of maybe take that spot. There's a lot of real world stuff that could be accessed when you're having these conversations and discussion. I didn't think about it being a white guy, but that makes all the sense in the world considering how much his films, Jordan Peele's films, have commentary on racial issues in the world in our country. So I wouldn't be surprised.
I think it'd be super interesting.
Yeah, I think so.
White guy. But yeah, I think you have to pay attention to anything coming out of Monkey Paw. It's they make interesting stuff, even if it doesn't always work. And I'm looking forward to that one. I do like Marlon in more serious mode, Requiem for a Dream and all that stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Puerto Geekin says, following up on the casting of Supergirl, if she's a character in Superman Legacy, does James Gunn have priority on casting since his movie releases first? To what extent should he defer to the director of the Supergirl movie? This is something we covered last week. He also says, just want to add that I became a proud paid subscriber of the Sneider. I appreciate your insights.
Thank you very much. There you go. I think we just don't know. We don't know who is directing that Supergirl movie. And so it's like, okay, well, if you have to cast Supergirl because she's in Superman. Right.
Probably.
Then it's on him to decide.
Yeah.
And again, I think that is a real concern, like other filmmakers maybe thinking James might step on their toes and that might make him reluctant to come up to DC. But, there may be other filmmakers who feel like the chance to work with Gunn is irresistible. Like I'm emboldened by, hey, here's a studio that's run by a filmmaker, not by, a bean counter in a suit.
Yeah.
So, it goes both ways, James Gunn. I think that he will be a talent magnet. And I also think that he may, people may not want to necessarily take notes from another filmmaker. So, like I said,
it's always a dangerous path to walk, as we've said before, with that situation with James Gunn. We talked about it last week as well. Let's see, what else have we got on the agenda for today? Well, we should talk about this breaking news about Magazine Dreams here, man. It is apparently it is going to it's back on the market, which I think we kind of predicted on the show that it would be. Maybe I think you said it would go to Hulu possibly, and then we kind of talked about the fact that it could they could sell it to someone else, another studio. Do you hear anything on this, or is this the first you're hearing of it?
Yeah, I mean, I may have thought it could have gone to Hulu like back when this scandal first broke,
right?
But it became increasingly clear, especially after the guilty verdict. This ain't going to Hulu either. This is going to be, sold off most likely, and there will be buyers, and it will make someone money. Mm-hmm. I mean, unless the cost is just prohibitively expensive, and it could be. Right. But I think that this movie will do pretty well on VOD or with a limited theatrical run, especially if it's bolstered by a limited theatrical release. So,
right.
I look at, again, this is just an example.
Yep.
But I look at Vertical Entertainment, which did American Skin, right? They picked up Nate Parker's movie, and that movie did not have, a high profile. Like, people probably don't even know what the hell I'm talking about. I think it was like Vertical's biggest pickup that they'd ever had to that point. I think it made like $3 or $4 million like its first couple of weeks on VOD. So, maybe not like margin call style numbers, right? I remember that one back in the day.
Margin call. Good film.
Performed very well. And that's what Vertical does, is they kind of take a distressed asset like the Tom Hardy Capone movie, right? That no one wants.
Yeah.
And they buy it for maybe, sometimes I'm telling you, sometimes they don't even have to pay. Right? They're just like, we'll put it out there and you'll get a cut or whatever.
Right.
Sometimes you have to buy the fucking movie themselves. But let's say they buy for $500,000 or $1 million, and then it makes $3 million. And you have to give the VOD platforms a cut, but it's not like it's a movie theater where it's a 50-50%.
Right.
VOD can be a very nice business as long as you're picking the right titles, and titles that people are going to watch, which means titles with movie stars in them.
Yeah. I mean, I'm fascinated by, like, when I go through these apps that I have, I'm fascinated by the amount of movies that I've never heard of that have so many stars in them. Like, you go on Tubi, you literally can go down wormholes and see all these films that you had no idea had these like name actors in them, who probably just kind of had a quote. They wanted to work. I'm gonna take it. I'll build something on the house, And so this would be something that Magazine Dreams comes with that thing of like, it's dangerous to watch it because of Jonathan Majors and what he did. So there's a titillating factor to this that I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm not passing judgment on it, but I'm saying it has a titillation factor that I think people will click on it to watch. Well, like, I'll check it out. If it gets good reviews by some critics who actually do watch it, then it makes it even more.
It will have, the performance is staggering.
Yeah.
The performance is, like, people compare it to like De Niro and Taxi Driver or Raging Bull. Like, the performance is fucking wild, but the movie is hard to like. It's a rough sit. It's a rough character to spend 2 hours with. Supposedly he's recutting it since Sundance and everything. It felt, I don't think it is his first film, but it felt like a first film. I think it's his second film, Elijah Bynum. I like you said, the curiosity factor will be high. The reviews should be there, but there's also going to be plenty of critics who, I saw it before all that shit. There will be people who are watching Jonathan Majors, The Guilty, in that movie, and it will taint how they see that movie.
That's a fair point. Yeah. All right. So, and we'll see what happens as that goes along. And I wonder if Jonathan is going to get a cut of the film, because I'm sure that's the reason people are going to watch it, is to see him. So I wonder if he can negotiate some kind of cut for himself.
I'm sure that's
yeah. What else do you want to move on to? I mean, I think the only thing we have left is the section we talked about with the Sundance. If there's anything else you want to bring up,
I mean, True Detective. We want to talk
oh
about?
yeah, let's talk about that. Yeah, I got the chance to watch it last night, the first episode.
So you haven't seen the whole season?
I have not seen the whole season, no. So I can only talk about the first episode. But if you want to talk first, Jeff, feel free.
I mean, I really like the season. I think the first season of True Detective is a little overrated. I think that McConaughey was like amazing as Rust Cole, and like, yeah, we like seeing him and Woody, and we like seeing a bunch of cute young naked actresses, frankly, and there was good mystery there, as like with the spaghetti monster and the Yellow King, but like it was all really kind of a bunch of mumbo jumbo, and I'd much rather watch something like Mayor of Easttown, which is like a more grounded crime.
That's a great show. Yeah.
I didn't mind season 2, which got shit on. I really liked Colin Farrell's Ray Velcoro. I think
he was good.
The best characters in the True Detective oeuvre.
Agreed.
I liked season 3 okay, but it was slow. I barely remember much about the Mahershala Ali season. So like this season popped for me. I love the two of them together. Jodie Foster's great in this. Callie Reese, really good. Not a Jodie Foster level actress, not a 2-time Oscar winner.
No.
This is a former boxer, but I thought she held her own and she played it well. I like the world. I like, just being up in Alaska and darkness, that's the setting and the central mystery. It drags a little in those middle episodes.
Okay.
And it does veer off into some supernatural angles. So it's like, if you didn't love that stuff about season 1, I think it is enhanced. They embraced it a little bit more in season 4, given the indigenous population up there in Alaska. But I think this is a winner of a season, and that people will be satisfied.
Nice. Well, I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, to me, I enjoyed that first episode. I like the groundwork it laid with Jodie Foster and John Hawkes, their relationship. John Hawkes' son in the show. Interesting to see that kind of like a mini nuclear family within the police department, and what does that mean? We see the uncomfortableness of Jodie Foster's character and how she gives into her emotions in certain situations when she's arresting that girl who's drunk. So there's maybe a little bit of seeds being dropped for how she's going to react to stuff down the road. Seeing the flashback stuff in the first episode, I thought really solidified Callie Reese's character really well, and I enjoyed that. You're right, Callie's not on Jodie's level. If I was an acting coach with her, I'd be like, don't do too much. Your face is perfect. Right. Naturally react. You're doing that extra look or extra wink or extra move. That is an actor when you're watching it, because I am an actor, like, okay, you're trying to really make it clear to people what you're feeling. Just trust, we'll get it. Your face is going to do the work. You don't have to do too much. That's the only note I would give. But the ferocity of her is great. The strength and the power of her and her willingness to go toe-to-toe with Jodie, I thought was great to see in the show as well. And yeah, and Fiona Shaw is fantastic as well. And what they lead to at the end of that first episode, there's shades of The Thing. There's shades of Fortitude. If any of you watched that show that was on for like 4 seasons, that's also set, I think, in Alaska. No, it was set in one of those wintry towns, I think, in Scandinavia or something. It's fantastic. So it has shades of that, which I think people will enjoy. But yeah, the supernatural stuff, you can tell they're laying the groundwork for that. And we're going to dive into more of that as the episodes go along. But great first episode. Issa Lopez, a really fantastic voice in the world of horror. And so to see her lend her talents to something like True Detective, which is a great place to go, I'm so excited to see more from her and what she's going to do with this season. So I'm glad you like the season.
It made me want to watch her movie Tigers Are Not Afraid, which I have
It's
not.
a good movie, dude. It's a good movie. Yeah, and if you, I pitched this last time, if you guys want to see an hour-long conversation with me and her, Issa Lopez, it's on the channel, on the Deep Cut playlist. We had an hour after she released that Tigers Not Afraid movie. I watched it, and we talked about it for an hour. She's a fantastic conversationalist and talks about her Guillermo del Toro collaborations that are in play right now. So you can go and watch that on the playlist there as well. All right, anything more you want to review? Anything more you saw? Anything more you want to push people towards?
Jeez. Okay, so I watched Lift, which you didn't see. What are some of the other stuff I saw that I can talk about? It's opening. Yeah. I saw Self-Reliance on Hulu. Did you watch that?
The Jake Johnson, right?
I thought that was okay. I enjoyed it. I mean, it's not amazing or anything, but I just find him so likable, and the premise is fun, and
a good guy, man.
Yeah, Biff Whiff is fun. There's some good stuff in there. Eduardo Franco. I saw He Went That Way with Jacob Elordi and Zachary Quinto.
Where's that at?
That's like an indie, I think.
Is that a VOD? Was that a VOD, or did you see someplace else?
I saw a link. I don't know. Okay. I maybe in theaters before it hits VOD, but
okay.
Didn't love it. Didn't love it.
What about the horror?
It wasn't bad.
What about the horror one that's coming out?
Oh, Founders Day?
Yeah. I've heard
I haven't seen that. I would watch that. I mean, I watch any like slasher movie. It doesn't matter how stupid it is. So,
did you go to an ISS screening? That's coming out this weekend as well. I have not seen it.
I'm gonna watch it tonight.
Okay, cool. Yeah. I'm gonna have to go see it in the theater because there was no screening down here that I was invited.
I had to track. I did do some fucking homework for that. I had to go all over LA begging people. You have an ISS link? ISS link, please.
One disappointment here. Cult Killer is coming out with Alice Eve and Antonio Banderas, and I have heard terrible things. I was hoping it'd be one of those
I saw it.
You did? Okay. They offered it to me, and I was like, well, unless I can interview Alice Eve, I don't want to necessarily cover the film. But I did not see it, but I've heard terrible things. So, Jeff, is it good? Is it not worth it? Is it?
I mean, it's exactly what I expected it to be. I didn't think it was terrible.
Okay.
I mean, I've seen worse. I've watched worse. Believe me, this month alone. Believe me. But yeah, I mean, that was okay. I like Antonio Banderas, and he was kind of quiet and soft spoken in this.
It felt a little bit like The Rhythm Section, that film with Jude Law and Blake Lively. A little bit. Is that he's training her to do this thing and she's tracking down this killer and whatever. So
this is weird. There's a vigilante kind of killing pedophiles, and the police have to be okay with it happening. I don't know. I
like her. I think she's a good actress. I'm always surprised that she's not a bigger deal because Alice, she's beautiful. She's very talented. She's British. You would think she could blow up more, but it hasn't happened.
I thought she was okay in this, but I think that it's when she does get those opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
She gets them in these movies that basically just make her out to be hot girl. And nothing to play, and she's made to look even worse than she is.
That's a fair point.
Yeah. It's then she has to go back down to the indies, do some interesting quick cast in another big movie, and then just reduce to hot girl, and that's start it all over again.
Yeah, she's great in those British series. They're period pieces. I watch her in those things, so she's great in them. But yeah, I'm just hoping one day she'll get that role that she needs. Okay. All right. Anything more that you want to say? Did I see anything?
No, let's do Sundance.
Okay, let's do Sundance. Let's take a quick break, and then we'll jump into the last section here. We'll do our Sundance segment, top 10 Sundance movies ever to debut at Sundance right after this. All right, this is the last section of the show, so if you're going to send in your Streamlabs and Super Chats, do it now so we can answer them afterwards. All right, Jeff, you want to tee this one up, please?
The Sundance maybe it was a few weeks ago, a month ago, sent a survey out to a whole bunch of people who are typically accredited to go, and they said, we want to do. It's our 40th anniversary. We want to come up with the list of the 10 best Sundance movies of all time that have ever debuted here, screened here, whatever. Yeah. And they sent us a Google Doc, a list, and it had 4,000 titles on it.
Yeah, insane.
It took an hour and a half just to scroll through it all and say, oh, that's a possibility, that's a possibility. And I came up with my top 10, and I submitted it. Mm-hmm. And then after I'd submitted it, I realized that, hey, you guys actually forgot what would probably be the number one thing to play there. Okay. And I emailed Sundance, and they were like, we actually thought about including it, but then we didn't because you disqualified episodics. But I said the OJ documentary, that's what I'm talking about, the OJ Simpson documentary, technically won the Oscar for Best Director. Yeah. So, you can't have it both ways, and they put it on.
Oh,
I couldn't revote at that point. So, top 10, keep in mind, I do think that the OJ documentary is probably, I think it's one of the greatest works of art of the last 20 years.
100%.
Total masterpiece. I think it's probably the greatest thing to ever play at Sundance, but I get how it's not quite like the others.
I put that OJ doc on the level with the Civil War documentary from Ken Burns. It's one of those.
On your list, though?
Oh no, because I didn't know it was one that could qualify for my list. So
Was it on the document that I sent you? Or?
It was on the document, yes.
Okay.
But I'd already made my list, and I thought a 7-episode thing.
So yes. So let me give you, before we give our own top 10s.
Yeah.
Let me tell you what the Sundance top 10 was.
I've got a graphic for it, so tell me when to put this up. We'll put it up now.
Put it up. Yeah.
There it is. There you go. That's the 40th edition community survey, all-time top 10 films from Sundance. Take it away, Jeff. What do we got?
Not a terrible list. Not a terrible list.
No.
Whiplash at number 1 is a lot for me.
That is hard to accept.
Yeah. I mean, because listen, I was in the room for that. Whiplash was great. It went over like gangbusters at Sundance, but at the same time, like, does that really have the cultural legacy that like a Reservoir Dogs or Get Out does? Like, I don't think so.
I don't think that's a young person's film. It's a young person's film.
A bit of a surprise there, but like Reservoir Dogs, Get Out, Little Miss Sunshine, Memento, those absolutely should be there. Sex, Lies, and Videotape, Blood Simple. Like, this is a fucking great list. 2 Linklater movies. I maybe would have just gone with one, but and then the Corone. I don't think you can be mad at this list.
Am I wrong that every single person on this list is still working today?
Yeah.
So I'm not wrong. Yeah.
So with that in mind, should we reveal what our top?
Yeah. How do we want to do this? How do you want to do this?
Just give me you give your number 10. I'll give my 10. We'll just switch.
Which on that right? Okay. All right. So at the risk of getting destroyed by my Latino brothers and sisters, I did not put Y Tu Mama También on the list. My number 10 is Chasing Amy. Just the cachet of that film. Like, when it came out, it is arguably the top film of Kevin Smith's career. I know people like Clerks, but Chasing Amy was where you saw an auteur come of age and have something to say beyond, I'm sticking my finger in the eye of the establishment. This was a conversation, although dated, arguably, considering what's happening in the movie about the relationship here. I still think it was an incredible film and still holds up. And it's a fun film to go back and watch, and showcased that Kevin Smith could be a mature film director when called upon. So
so I do have Kevin Smith on my list, but it's not Chasing Amy.
Fair point. What's your 10?
My number 10, I really wanted to stand for this movie. It was Wet Hot American Summer. Which is just, imagine seeing that as like at a midnight screening, getting out of that at like 1:30 in the morning, and you've just seen one of the funniest movies of your life, I feel like. I can't believe, I would have loved to have been there for the first screening of that. I love that movie. I'm a summer camp guy. What can I say? You white people and your foolish comedies. All right. So my number 9 is In Bruges, the Colin Farrell, Brendan Gleeson film. That film, I mean, with an incredible performance of Ray Fiennes. It just came out of nowhere, kicked me in the face, and really made me fall in love with all 3 of those actors all over again. And I just loved the vibe and the energy of that film, and the way it would zig when you expected it to zag. And so it's Martin McDonagh, so it's just like incredible to give you an idea of what this guy was going to do in the future. My number 9 is a documentary I'm betting that most of you have not seen. If you haven't seen this, Rocha, you have to see this.
Okay.
The Devil and Daniel Johnston. Is
this the blues one?
No, he wasn't really a blues guy. He was like a schizophrenic like musician, basically.
Okay.
If you see a lot of photos of like Kurt Cobain is always wearing a Daniel Johnston shirt. In a bunch of them. It's just like a fascinating story. Like, this is a guy who like will be like his father was a pilot. He'll take him up in a small plane, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Daniel just takes the keys out of the ignition, throws them out the window.
Jesus Christ!
Plane crashes into a field. They survive. Like, fucking insane shit. And his music is like amazing. I mean, and you can, people are like in the documentary, you can hear the Beatles in there. It's a remarkable documentary. The Devil and Daniel Johnston. Don't miss it.
I just put it on my list. All right. So then my number 8 is Manchester by the Sea. This is a film that I will die on the hill for. I know Casey Affleck. I know the issues and all the accusations. I get it. But this is one of those things where I separate the art from the artist. And we all have the subjective ability to do that. And for me, this film is so quietly devastating I still go back and see the scene where he tries to take the gun out of the cops.
No spoilers. No spoilers.
Huh? Yeah, I'm just saying it's a scene where he tries to take the gun out. I'm not saying why. I'm not saying how that happened, but he does. It's an incredible film, phenomenal performance from him. The scene, there are numerous scenes with him and Michelle Williams that are just stellar. I forget the young guy's name, the young actor's name.
Lucas Hedges.
Yeah, Lucas Hedges, so good. And this is a film that, it's almost 3 hours long, but you just go with it. And for whatever reason, it's one of these really quiet, slow-paced films that absolutely works for me. So it's one that I thoroughly love.
I'll just do my number 5 for now. My 5 is Manchester by the Sea. So that is our first overlapping title. I think it's a masterpiece. I think it is possibly the greatest performance of the last 10 years. Casey Affleck. I think he's incredible in that movie. It shattered me. If you don't cry watching this movie, I question whether you're even alive. Just a beautiful story about human beings, dealing with the shit that human beings have to deal with.
Yeah. I was very lucky to be his security for an event a few years ago and got to ask him about the film. And we had like a 15-minute conversation about it. It was one of the highlights of my life.
I'll give my number 8 when Rocha gives 5, when he gives his 5.
Okay. Sounds good. So my 7 is Old Boy, which is a bit of a cheat, but it did debut there. So it is an international film, and it just came out with a reissue recently, but this film is just top notch, man.
You are insane.
You're a bad man. Old Boy is so good. One of these films that woke me up to Korean cinema and the possibilities within it, what it leads to, what the twist in the story is, and the performances throughout this thing is just mind-blowing. It's a great revenge film. The hallway fight scene alone with the hammer is just legendary to see on screen, and that's one of my favorite films ever. So when I saw it on the list that Jeff sent me, I was like, already in the top 10. So there you go.
You're insane. My number 7 is Old Boy. Psych, bitch.
Nice twist.
Like that? Yeah. Rocha and I spot on there. We both thought Old Boy was number 7.
Yeah.
This is just one of those movies you don't forget seeing, especially that ending. It just packs a punch. There's like the octopus scene. There's all kinds of stuff that it's seared into my retinas. Yeah. I'll never forget the images in this movie. So
yeah,
Old Boy.
Good job. Number 6. Don't see the remake for fuck's sake. All right.
No, terrible Spike Lee. Number 6.
A documentary, not as long as Jeff's documentary, but certainly Hoop Dreams. I mean, that documentary changed so much for me and how I viewed documentaries. It came at a time when people were getting into basketball in the 90s, like becoming obsessed with basketball. And it told a fantastic story about these two guys and their paths to try to get to the NBA. It was an incredible window into what these young men go through just to have a shot to be successful in the National Basketball League, and the idea, or association rather, and the idea that, they're just kids with talent and they get sent up and it's just so easy. There's a lot that they go through, and it's heartbreaking. It's triumphant and heartbreaking at the same time, and it's so incredibly directed. And I've never seen a documentary like it since.
We should really get a filmmaker to make a Hoop Dreams 2 starring me and Matt Nost. Follow our weekly escapades.
Bit of a shorter film, I think.
My number 6 features characters named Big Chris and Little Chris. And those characters are in a movie called Lock, Stock, and 2 Smoking Barrels. Boom. Guy Ritchie, first movie. Still his best movie, most likely.
Yeah.
Fucking fantastic. As a crime film, as a comedy, the poker scene, the soundtrack, he created basically a genre with Lock, Stock, and I definitely think it deserves to be in the top 10.
Shotguns? You mean guns that fire shots? Oh yeah, you must be the brains in the outfit. Yeah, shotguns, guns that fire shots.
It's a sale of the fucking century.
It's an eminently quotable film.
Most
for sure.
Okay.
What the fuck are you doing here? All right. So then my number 5, and I'm going to get shit for this one probably as well, is The Usual Suspects. I know Kevin Spacey is persona non grata, but that film was a seminal film in 90s films, man. It blew everything up, brought back the noir, brought back the mystery thing. The moment at the end when you realize what was going on and what the whole point of this thing is, crazy. Putting a name like Kaiser Soze in the conversation with Hans Gruber, with Freddy Krueger, with all the great villains is an incredible job by this movie. Bryan Singer, I know, persona non grata as well, but what a job directing that movie. And you may have issues with who did it. You may have issues with some of the actors, whatever. The film itself is incredible. And so I had to put it on my list, and give me shit for it if you like, people.
Give you shit.
Yeah.
I would give you shit if you didn't put this movie on your list. Okay. I'm going to skip ahead. I was supposed to give my number 8 in place.
Oh,
of
yeah.
Number
Sorry.
5.
Go ahead.
Now,
Yeah.
now I'm giving you my number 3. Okay. I'm jumping ahead.
Okay.
So now it's The Usual Suspects. Okay.
Yeah.
The Usual Suspects is one of the most rewatchable movies of all time, which is insane for a movie built on a twist.
Yeah. That you already know after the first time you watch it. Yeah.
It's so fucking quotable.
Yeah.
It is. It's basically perfect. I don't give a fuck. This is like the ultimate cancel culture test for me.
Yeah.
Like, I just want to go up to people like with just like a copy of The Usual Suspects and be like, "Would you watch this movie tonight?" And if they're like, "Oh, absolutely not," Bryan Singer, Kevin Spacey, absolutely not, I'd be like, "Fuck you, goodbye." Like, we can't be friends. This movie is amazing, and I will not let society tell me that I can't watch it or enjoy it because Kevin Spacey and Bryan Singer made it. The fucking movie's amazing.
It got all these actors at the like perfect times in their lives, man. Stephen Baldwin just about to go. Oh, you got a picture. Stephen Baldwin
up there in the corner, baby. You see it?
Yeah. Look at that. Yeah. Stephen Baldwin on the come up. Kevin Pollak establishing himself with things like Few Good Men and what have you. And Gabriel Byrne still kind of in that realm where he could lead a situation like this, and the up and coming Kevin Spacey. So there was a lot of people who were combined. And Benicio, one of his first films.
For real.
Flip you. All of that. And then you have characters like Pete Postlewaite in this thing. Was it Susie Amos who's in this thing? There's so many different
Redfoot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Everybody. It's amazing. Okay.
All right. So what's your 8? What's your 8?
Number 5. No. That was your number 5, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
All right. My 5 was Manchester by the Sea. What's your number 4?
Wait, you haven't done your 8 yet, have you? What's your 8?
8 got bumped to the 3 spot.
All right.
Your 4.
My number 4, we're going outside the United States again. This is, for me personally, one of my top 10 favorite films ever. When I saw it on the list that Jeff said, I was really shocked. It's Cinema Paradiso. There's no greater film that is a love story about film than Cinema Paradiso. If any of you who are watching us have never seen that movie, do not see the director's cut, first of all. See the original cut. Watch it. It is a beautiful film set in the 1930s, 1940s about this young Italian kid befriending a projectionist, an old projectionist, and how he instills the love of film inside the kid while all this stuff is going on in Italy during World War I, during World War II. It's a beautiful, beautiful film. He's going back as an older director to revisit the town because the projectionist has died, and that's the window in. There's a beautiful romance, is incredible history of film being laid out, and it's just stellar film that I highly recommend to anybody who's never seen it. It's beautiful. Go ahead.
I never saw Cinema Paradiso, so
no surprise.
Yeah. My number 4 is the greatest superhero movie of all time. Okay. A movie that many people don't even consider to be a superhero movie, and yet it's very obvious that it is. And that is Donnie Darko.
Oh, Lord. Go ahead, man.
Donnie Darko, one of the great Sundance movies. I mean, sure, it didn't maybe birth Richard Kelly a career we saw that graphic. All those guys are still working.
Certainly tried.
Hasn't worked in quite a while. But that doesn't mean that Donnie Darko is not a special film featuring a special performance from Jake Gyllenhaal. I mean, you can't go into like a mall without seeing Frank the rabbit, like that is an iconic piece of imagery that will always be around the Hot Topic crowd. And great soundtrack. I fucking love this movie. What do you want from me?
I have tried to watch this movie 5 or 6 times. It bores the fuck out of me, and I just don't. I'm not one of those people that likes it. I'm just not.
Finished Donnie
I've
Darko.
never finished Donnie Darko.
Ends.
I really haven't. It's just like, I guess I'm supposed to. I get what you're doing, but it just, I can see the, how can I say it? I can see the magician's tricks, and then I go, so that's going to kill a movie for me every time. So
you don't even know how it is a superhero movie.
No, I don't. I have no idea how it's a superhero movie.
Okay, fair enough.
I'll take the Bunny and Sexy Beast over that Bunny.
Okay.
By the way, great trailer for the new series. If you guys haven't seen the trailer for the new series for Sexy Beast, looks awesome. All right, where are we at? 3?
3.
All right, my 3 is Whiplash. How can I not put it on the list? I mean, you could not have encapsulated both my upbringing with my father and some of the mentors in my life creatively better than Whiplash. So I just love it from top to bottom. JK and Miles Teller, incredible work. And Paul Reiser, quietly, a really great assistant, supporting role here for him that I really enjoyed. And Melissa Benoist has a nice scene there at the beginning. But, it's Miles Teller showing you this kind of actor he's going to be. And JK coming into his own as well.
Yeah, you just sitting in that room, sitting in the echoes, like I just knew, like, okay, this guy's going to win an Oscar.
Yeah.
Right. JK is so amazing in that. And it is a coming out party for Miles and for Damien Chazelle. That was an electric screening. My number 3 was Usual Suspects. Oh, sorry.
Okay. I was going to say that ending of that film, it's a sports film ending. And when you watch that film, you're just like, what the fuck is happening? When he makes the twist, you're like, oh, hell yeah. Here we go. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's like Warrior.
Yeah.
3 was Usual Suspects for me, but I never gave my 8. And so I'm going to back up to 8. And my number 8 movie is another documentary.
Ooh.
Man on Wire.
Oh, yeah.
Another stone cold masterpiece. Like, what a story. I mean, you have to be insane.
Yeah.
You have to be insane to do what this guy did. And it was just a stunning, stunning film by James Marsh, featuring an incredible score as well. So that is my number 3. We've got 2 more movies apiece.
Yep. My number 2 is Get Out. How can I not have this on my list? Jordan Peele surprising the shit out of me, speaking my language in terms of racial politics within the film, but more than anything else, a great horror film. Just on top. You don't even have to go to the racial politics that he's talking about. The horror film alone works perfectly. It is brilliantly laid out. It's written in such a incredibly brilliant way. And so by the end, little things like her separating certain things in her cereal from certain things, like little signs like that, you're just like, what the fuck? And when you get to that ending, although it's a fun, comical ending, it's still an ending that leaves you with chills and so much to think about. So what a debut film for a guy who you just saw doing characters on a comedy sketch show that really just kind of opened the door to a new horror voice in horror.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fair selection.
Yeah,
I feel like Sundance kind of really, this was not like part of the festival. This was a secret screening at Sundance. Yeah. So it's kind of like they're like, oh yeah, Sundance, Get Out screened at our festival first. I'm like, yeah, it did, but it wasn't really. It wasn't really part of the festival. But okay, you can have that one. Fine.
Look, it's on the list. It's on the list for Sundance.
It's on the list. It counts. It made its debut at Sundance. It counts. And it is fantastic. But it did not crack my list.
Fair enough.
I think I need a few more years away. From it. My number 2 is Clerks. Clerks. I mean, Kevin Smith, this is what independent filmmaking is kind of all about. A guy maxing out his credit cards, $27,000, black and white movie about some slackers in a convenience store, gave him a career. And he was kind of like the not the voice of a generation, but something close to it.
Yeah.
I think Clerks is just fantastic. It holds up. It's still funny. I still will call people Steve Dave and all kinds of stuff like that. I don't know. I'm just a Kevin Smith fanboy. Okay, so now before you give your number 1, recap what you did 10 through.
Okay, so my number 10 is Chasing Amy. My number 9 is In Bruges. My number 8 is Manchester by the Sea. My number 7 is Old Boy. My number 6 is Hoop Dreams. Number 5 is The Usual Suspects. Number 4 is Cinema Paradiso. Number 3 is Whiplash. Number 2 is Get Out.
And the number 1 movie, Sundance movie from John Rocha is
Do 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 do. Do 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 do.
All right, before you continue, I'm just going to give my list too because that's my number.
Go ahead.
My number 10 is Wet Hot American Summer. 9 is The Devil and Daniel Johnson. 8 is Man on Wire. 7 is Old Boy. 6 is Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. 5 is Manchester by the Sea. 4 is Donnie Darko. 3 is The Usual Suspects. 2 is Clerks. And number 1, again, the hive mind at work. Number 1 is Reservoir Dogs from Quentin Tarantino, which finished at number 2 on the official Sundance list. Johnny, take it away.
Undeniable. Undeniable. What an insult that it's number 2 on the overall list. I have to talk to people about why that is. That film, it literally launched the independent film movement. It absolutely woke people up to the possibility in independent films at a critical time. At a critical time when people are changing their points of views about film. People are getting a little exhausted by the 80s films. Here comes a film that strips it all down, echoes the 70s, brings in all these wonderful up-and-coming actors that are all working today who are still alive, R.I.P. Chris Penn, and just incredible from back to end, of course, Eddie Bunker as well. Top to bottom, an incredible film, so eminently quotable, so well written, the swings in emotion, the flashback sequence, the flashback technique, all of it works so well, leading to that phenomenal standoff at the end that just I've gone back and rewound that so many damn times to see who shot who first and what happened. It's just incredible. So that film just, I don't know, man, it changed my whole life about film, that film. It really changed my whole mind about it all. I showed it to everybody I knew. I would rent it all the time, have Reservoir Dogs watch parties just to introduce people to that movie when I was living in Virginia because I loved it so much, man.
Yeah, I mean, I think I do think that these are the clear 1-2 movies. For, in my opinion, are Reservoir Dogs and Clerks, because I do think, like you said, that they were really the birth of like the independent, like a new independent film movement in the 90s. I gave Reservoir Dogs the edge because I think it's a better film than Clerks. Yeah. But what you really think about when you think about these two filmmakers who have kind of come up together, even though they make very different movies, they're both amazing storytellers.
Yeah.
Okay. They're both fantastic with dialogue, but like Kevin Smith is someone who you could stick on a podcast and he could just talk for 12 hours.
Yeah.
Like a Dave Chappelle could if you just bring Chappelle on stage or something like that.
Right.
And Quentin's the same way. Like Tim Roth telling that story in the back room.
Yeah.
That doesn't get old because he just has us hanging on every word, even though we know what the next words are. And it's because of how he tells the story and the way Quentin visually tells it. So I think this is all to say that I'm really bummed that my boss stole $3,000 from me last year and that I can't afford to go to Sundance this year because it is a pleasure and a privilege to go to that festival. It is my favorite festival. I think there's a wonderful sense of discovery, and I'm jealous of everyone who's going to be in the snow in Park City this week, seeing stuff that I will not be able to see. But I'm grateful for the movies that we did get to see, and we will obviously, you don't have to be in Park City to see these. These will eventually hit theaters, unless you're Yamajaya, in which case, who knows.
But they're also they do sell tickets to some of these films you can watch online. I thought they'd be cheaper. They're $25 a ticket, and I was like, holy shit. So I guess that's the access you're getting.
Well, if I want to go see fucking The Beekeeper tonight at the Grove or Universal City Walk, it's going to be a $22 or $23 ticket. So
sure. Well, I get Regal, so I don't have to pay $22 a ticket. So, and the AMC, and I wish they offered that with Sundance, but that's the situation.
It's a special festival, and just a key to the independent cinema. And they've just had so many, the list really, you could make a list of hundreds and hundreds of movies that had such a great impact on our lives.
As Goose once said, the list is long but distinguished. Jay Bling says, the thing about that announced standalone Hobbs movie is that they never announced a release date or director. So I can believe it got scrapped. Probably. I mean, The Rock's focusing on more intelligent fare apparently lately, so he might not do the Hobbs movie. Mariana Barbara says, why does Kathleen Kennedy still have a job? It's the same situation over and over again. Delay, fired for creative differences. How many times must we go through this before there is a change in leadership? I'm glad Mariana sent in a super chat here. Mariana, a couple of weeks ago, I went off about the whole situation with some of the people who had issues with Charmaine Obaid-Chinoy. I mistook your super chat to mean something that it didn't. So I want to apologize to you. I'm not apologizing to those people for what I said. I still meant what I said. I'm not stepping back on that. But certainly you didn't deserve me getting upset about it stemming from your super chat that I misread. So just want to apologize to you publicly. Why does KKK still have a job in the same situation? What do you think, Jeff? She makes money. That's why she still has a job. And Bob Iger likes her. What are your thoughts on
this? Why do I think she still has a job? I think that I think Bob Iger is afraid of her.
Wow. Really? Tell me why you think that. Afraid of her? Bob Iger.
Bob Iger has been around since when?
Since I don't know. So he's been around a long time. What do you mean? Since the
90s?
Yeah.
90s.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Kathy Kennedy's been around since the 70s.
Right.
When Bob Iger got to Disney, I'm sure Bob Iger was looking at Kathy Kennedy like, there goes Kathy Kennedy. So I think that
interesting.
Kathy and her husband, Frank Marshall, are best friends with Steven Spielberg.
Yeah.
Is the most powerful person in this town. Doesn't matter, who we're talking about. Really, at the end of the day. And I think that she's just part of that A-list crowd that even people like Bob Iger look up to and respect. And there is no way that he would just toss her out on her ass or put her out of a job when she is, she's Hollywood royalty, basically, having come up in the 70s with Steven.
Right. Some people pointing out, I said KKK. Sorry, KK. Why does KK Kathleen Kennedy still have a job? You're right. And listen, let's clarify something about Steven Spielberg. I hope people understand this. He does great interviews. Seems like a nice guy. You'd love to know him. Certainly a caring dude. And he seems to radiate that kind of energy, that childlike energy. But that motherfucker is an alpha. Don't ever get it twisted that Steven Spielberg is not some nice guy sitting around handing everybody flowers. That fucker is an alpha. He does not play, and you don't want to cross Steven Spielberg. And there is when he's upset about something, the whole world knows about it. Okay. And so I think there's the difference. Whereas I think Lucas is much more of a chill guy. I think Spielberg is not someone you want to fuck with. And you got to respect. He's like the Don. You got to respect the Don.
Fucking with Kathy would be like fucking with Steven indirectly.
Exactly. Right? So you might have an excellent point.
Like she's protected from on high. And I think that has to do with maybe how she's treated.
She's like Connie and fucking Spielberg is Michael. Like, you don't want to mess with that shit because you're going to get taken out.
Here's the other thing about, Kathy that I've heard is like, she does the work.
Yes. Yeah.
She loves movies, like genuinely loves movies at a time when, not a lot of executives, watch the movies or read the scripts and like she still rolls up her sleeves and goes in there and does it every day. So, when she doesn't have to, right. She definitely doesn't have to anymore. And so to her credit, she's there because she loves it.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think you do what she does and deal with the slings and arrows if you didn't love it to a certain. She doesn't need the money. She is fine for the rest of her life. But like she likes to do this. She loves it. And it's her way of, I think it's her way of respecting the legacy of Lucas and Spielberg and Scorsese, all the people that kind of really established that section of Hollywood as the transition was happening in the 70s. She has a love and respect for that going into the 80s and the way they worked with her, So yeah, that could be. Which is always surprising that there's not a Spielberg Star Wars movie. It's still kind of crazy surprising that we've never gotten that, considering all their connections. All right. Anything more here, Jeff? Because I don't think we have any more Streamlabs or Super Chats. Any other subject you want to bring up, or are we good to go?
Tune in to the newsletter tonight.
Yeah.
I think we'll have something good.
Okay.
It's just a matter of which thing we're going to have. I don't know. I got to figure it out. It's like I could do both tonight, but you want to spread these things out. The problem is when you decide to spread them out, right? Then you leave them vulnerable to get scooped on the next day, and yeah, so it's just tricky. I got some decisions to make in the next 30 minutes. So, but thank you for watching today's show and for subscribing and everything, people. I really appreciate it. Keep spreading the word. And we're going to be able to take these trades on. I think they're not the only game in town.
There you go. And you can follow Jeff at the Sneider on social media, wherever you log into social media. As for me, first of all, thanks so much for watching the show. As Jeff said, I echo that thought as well. Please make sure you subscribe to the Outlaw Nation channel. Hit a like on this video. Most of all, hit that bell button so you know when we're dropping new shows of the Hot Mic or new other shows that we do here on the channel for all the content that we do. As for me, you can follow me at The Rocha Says on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, The Outlaw Nation on Twitch. And, of course, there'll be content coming up over the next few days here on the channel, so stay tuned for that. And we'll be back with the Hot Mic later on this week as well. All right, y'all take care of yourselves. Be well. And we'll talk to you next time with another brand new episode of the Hot Mic. Peace.
Thank you.